the 13th and stuff. So if we ever want to go back and do the 12th and 13th 5-year plan.
That's good.
Shit. Stock of standing trees in China. National Forestry Inventory.
That's really good. Yeah, you can save that page for later. Okay, so Longjing tea
Yeah, Longjing.
from Hangzhou,
From Hangzhou.
the one you bought.
The one I bought. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
How do you get served tea in Hangzhou?
The same way you would in a normal tea shop, I think.
No, but I don't know. It was like some like.
So when we sat down, they exchanged pleasantries for ages. And then she was like, what type of tea do you want today? She asked me. And I said, yeah, well, I want to try the Hangzhou special one, obviously, the Longjing one.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, of course. This guy wants to try the Longjing one. What about you? He's like, well, other types of green tea. I've tried Longjing before. And then she brought out a selection of three green teas and a red tea. And then we just tried them one by one. And we just sat there for about 2 hours, really.
But did they do like any kind of?
No, they did. They had the fancy table and they were doing the stuff, but they weren't doing it really carefully. What they do, free? I wasn't paying that much attention.
Was it free?
Yeah, it was free.
Why?
Why was it free?
Why was the tea free for you?
Is it normal that in a tea shop they charge you for the free samples or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, well they didn't. Yeah, they just charged us for the tea we bought at the end. So I mean,
of course they charge you
for the tea we bought at the end.
No,
but they didn't charge
for
us
the tea you drink.
No, they didn't charge us anything. So I think it's a good place, right?
Fuck you.
Well, I can tell you the name of the place.
I think it was because you're foreigners.
Probably. That's definitely part of it. She expected us to buy a lot, and she wanted to know a lot about me.
And you did.
Well, this wasn't the cute girl. This was the tea shop owner.
Hey, don't be misogynistic.
The tea shop owner was okay too. That's upside down, I think.
I'm gonna tell you what you said.
Okay, but she's like 45. It's not really competition. Look, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that 25, 26. I'm gonna have to censor this. We're not doing this to start anyway. We're gonna start on you boring tea. Now.
No. You know, always the first serve is for your enemy.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna call me a dumbass, but this was the first time I realized that like they have the fancy teas. They have different flavors with each batch. You know, each amount. The first.
What do they have?
What do they call it? Like Dow or something? Not Dow, like Dow. But
the first wash.
The first wash, the second wash, the third wash, and she was like, "This one's supposed to taste like this, and this one's supposed to taste like this."
It's always like that with the good teas.
The good teas, yeah. The best one they had was a green tea from. I've already forgotten the name of the place. And Angie, that was it, with flowers, dried flowers in the tea as well. But I guess I wasn't really tasting the tea.
Was it the jasmine tea?
Yeah.
The good molihua comes from Fujian. I had an amazing tea there.
Yeah.
Because I usually don't even like the molihua cha.
Yeah.
But the one I had there was amazing.
But she asked me what kind of tea I'm like, and I don't really know. And I'm like, well, the only one I know the name of that I like is the duck shit tea.
There is always a time to try good quality tea for the first time, I mean.
Yeah. I'm definitely still not a tea guy, but they're good.
You're British.
That's what everyone says.
You should be like...
You're Spanish.
More of a tea guy.
You should be riding bulls around and going, ole, ole.
We don't ride them, we run in front of them.
Okay.
And I do it all the time.
Americans jump on the bulls.
Exactly.
The Spanish run in front of them.
No, it's not only the Americans. Like people from all the world just come to have a chance to run in front of a raging bull for like 1 kilometer and get a chance of getting killed or getting a hip replacement for free, you know? So you're like, okay, I mean, you do you. I'm not gonna judge you.
But yeah, the tea thing is a Victorian British tradition. And you know, I'm traditional. They say that the reason the British picked up drinking tea was because before all they could drink was beer. Because the rivers were all poisoned.
And they find like something that tastes good and doesn't make you
drunk.
get drunk.
And then they say that's what caused the Industrial Revolution, because they were all suddenly sober.
I also read like some text, some papers on the relation between the inclusion of tea and coffee into the modern societies and the impact they had on productivity and the Industrial Revolution and everything. I think it really has something to do. I mean, you don't go from drinking beer all day because that's the only way. You have to drink safe water to drinking something that has like completely the opposite effect. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, it's just pop history, but I can believe it. It sounds convincing.
It's convincing. Like, do you have any reason to not believe in it?
Yeah, because I don't think it all happened like that, like you said. And also, I really don't think people were drinking beer all day because it doesn't hydrate you.
Not all day, but in the medieval ages, it was really common to have a lot of beer. It was also like a really low graduation one, like maybe 1 or 2 degrees.
Yeah.
But it was the safest way to have safe water.
I know that in cold climates, they invented cider, basically, because your fermented fruit juice that was a few percent ABV would be much safer to drink than water.
Yeah.
And they had like nutritional value too.
You also see like some animals also love to eat like fermented fruits to get drunk. So anyway, at least we are like not so far away from other animals in that aspect.
Definitely. Well, maybe we like it too much.
Do animals like tea?
Tea? I don't know. I've never seen an animal drink tea. Unless it's in one of those like illustrated kids novels.
Can we get a chimpanzee some Tahoe and see what happens?
We get the chimpanzee to do a blind taste test between Molly Hua and Longtooth. Yeah, give it the duck shit tea. It'll go crazy. That stuff's very caffeinated.
Okay, we can do a study. How long until it takes until he can recognize the different voices? I
fucking know for a certainty that you could teach an orangutan to do the tea ceremony because they love using tools and shit. They love fucking around with toys. I can picture an orangutan in my head pouring boiling water into a thing and swirling it around.
But what kind of like tea ceremony? Like the Dachshundu one? When they do it like from a really long like...
Is there one that involves like smashing the shit together?
No, it's the one where they have like a really like a teapot with a really long neck.
Yeah.
And they just pour it like from
I think an orangutan could do that. They have long arms. They could put the cup in the foot and this. This just sounds like a Beetle Moses comic, you know?
Yes, I think you have to do a drawing to illustrate your ideas.
I have to commission Beetle Moses to draw it.
We choose like a really great day for recording.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best day ever. Do you know why I think they arrested him now?
Because, this is really good.
Because the Americans have been trying to call him to be a witness or put charges against him in America. So he can't go back to America. But maybe they were worried about extraditing him to America. So I think he's going to face charges in the UK before the Americans can get him.
Do you think he's going to hang himself in prison too?
No. I mean, if he does, it's not a conspiracy. I think he's pathetic enough he might actually do it. Yeah,
I mean, the thing with Ghislaine and Epstein, you can have your case, but also, with this guy...
It's useful to have him guilty. Like, not to get too conspiracy-minded, but what people want to see with the Epstein stuff is a powerful person getting,
yeah.
But not any of the actual important powerful people. So yeah, fucking Prince, who doesn't have any power.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, like, from the relevant people that you can charge for actually something, who can pay for it, this is like the guy that doesn't really have any impact
the number one guy, the fall guy, who's gonna get it, and then the rest of them can wash their hands.
Yeah, he's the gold.
They're gonna release the files, and they're gonna have photoshopped his face onto everyone else. Surprise! There was no other people at the island.
Exactly, there was no one else, and they all got indicted.
Yeah.
They all got convicted. Come on, guys, you should be happy about the outcome.
It was just him in the end the whole time.
Do you see all the articles now trying to relate Epstein with the Chinese enterprises or Chinese politicians or whatever, and like they have to go like 3 degrees to find any relation between them.
It's always 2 degrees out as well, because Jeffrey was so desperate to come to China.
Yes.
And it's always him asking Larry Summers, or him asking, he asked Peter Mandelson about, because Peter Mandelson, the British guy, he had been to China. He asked Peter Mandelson about how to apply for a Chinese visa. And then he was like, yeah, but I've got a conviction. Is that going to be a problem? And Peter Mandelson fucking told him to get rid of, to remove the conviction. Yes. And just submit like a fraudulent visa application. Which is like, yeah, very, 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 very illegal. But it's more illegal for Mandelson as well. Someone who
it was something really illegal. I don't think the rest of things were legal, you know?
Well,
I don't think it's that
It's like what we were talking about the other day, where there's 2 layers to this shit. There's the evil stuff, which isn't going to cause any problems for most of them in the future. And then there's the illegal stuff, which when it's out in the public can actually get you in a lot of trouble, like all the Mandelson lobbying stuff. And yeah, Mandelson telling him to fake a bunch of criminal record stuff on a visa application is going to get Mandelson in more trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, I think all the rest of things are also going to get people in trouble if there was actually like a decent world.
Yeah. But there's one country isolated from this stuff, which is China.
That's what I think. Like, they have no relation between all the Chinese like head labs or enterprises or whatever, and they're like trying so hard to say, "Hi guys, I promise you, everything was also with Chinese people. Trust me on this one." Yeah,
I think there was. I mean, the whole network of like Bannon. I mean, one of the things like UK leftists now are saying, which is interesting, is like, hypothetically, imagine a different Epstein network, like completely different people, but it's just different types of conservatives doing it. Because a lot of the Epstein stuff is all isolated to libertarian, free market conservatives, which, like, for example, I mean, David Cameron doesn't show up much in it because he's not that kind of conservative. He's opposed to Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is all over the files because he's that kind of American-style free market guy. So, like, there aren't any conservatives in China who are, like, going to be anti-China and, like, pro-free market. That's very limited to, like, the Bannon crowd.
Yeah, and I mean, like, well, you also have Noam Chomsky on the other side.
Yeah.
Which is like the weird exception to all this shit.
It's not. The more I think about Chomsky, though, the funnier it is, because Chomsky calls himself a libertarian socialist a lot. And I was like, yeah, fucking emphasis on the libertarian.
He doesn't stand for anything. This guy is just like, yeah, I like to make like bullshit points on politics. Yeah. And also I like to hang out with pedophiles.
Yeah, but if you look at the word libertarian in there, like everything starts to click.
No, I mean, libertarian is such a wide word used nowadays.
But the meme is the libertarians want to get rid of the age of...
I'm a liberal. It doesn't mean anything right now. It can mean you're on either side of the spectrum.
Yeah,
I'm a libertarian, the same thing.
So, like, but if you associate one political ideology with trying to get rid of the age of consent, it's libertarians, even though it's a straw man or whatever. It's what people associate with them.
The problem is that the longer we talk about it, the longer we stray from the main point that we want to talk today, which unfortunately is
I was going to do a segue.
The main politics of the USA are ruled by a ring of killers and pedophiles. What are we going to talk today?
Well, we're going to talk about the opposite of libertarianism. Central planning, how to plan a country's politics, how to plan your policies, the kind of time frames we talk about when we talk about how a country like China plans its economic outputs and international activities and other stuff that it's going to get up to. So today the topic is the 14th 5-year plan.
14th?
Yeah, the 14th 5-year plan, not the 15th one.
From where does it range, the 14th?
It started... Oh.
I'm just having more tea, don't mind me.
The 14th 5-year plan goes from 2021 until 2026, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some vagueness about it, and there's some interesting stuff with the scheduling and how some of the 5-year plans are slightly shorter and some of them are slightly longer than 5 years.
It should actually, like, I think the official ending date is 2025.
Yeah.
And then there is they are like warming up for the next one, which is going to be released in March, if I'm right, after the 2 sessions.
So the thing is, the way it works, in 2021, the 14th 5-year plan started, but it wasn't publicly released until 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Chinese document that gets released internally to various figures that actually has the articles, and in the articles there are chapters, and those chapters say what the goals of the Central Committee are for the development of China.
Well, I think these dates, these years, are gonna like ring a bell for most of our listeners right now, especially if you live in the USA or in Europe or in South America also, because those were the hardest years for COVID.
Yeah.
The COVID pandemic. I don't think anyone remembers them like with very fond memories. But it's also important to remember that the main hit that China took during the COVID pandemic happened at the beginning, obviously, at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and the end of the pandemic, which is when they just released all the measures because most of the population has already taken the COVID shots, and they can afford to just let people continue with their lives and not having to worry about a really high death toll like what was happening on the rest of the world at the beginning. So yeah, we can see that the 13th 5-year plan ends directly on 2020, which also affects how the next the 14th year plan is developed and how it is planned from the beginning, in the way that many of the objectives are more conservative in terms of, for example, economic growth, in terms of the global scope of what they want to achieve. And also, if you told me before, like the 14th year plan has less points compared to previous.
So, I mean, we're going to talk a bit about the 13th 5-year plan, which was from 2016 until 2021. Mm-hmm. The special thing about the 13th 5-year plan, it had lots of points, and I think it was one of the bigger ones. And obviously, it didn't anticipate COVID and any of this crazy stuff.
Yeah, of course, no one did.
Any of this crazy stuff that happened at the end of 2020 and in 2019 and 2021. But 2021 is the 100th year anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China, the Chinese Communist Party, and the foundation, or the goal for 100 years after the establishment of the Communist Party was to build, I believe the quote is, a moderately well-off, or moderate, basically to eliminate poverty, to build a moderately developed country. Yeah. And the final bit of the 13th 5-year plan and the start of the 14th 5-year plan, it's like the end of one chapter, the start of the other. The end of the elimination of poverty in China, and the start of building towards 2035 and 2049. 2049 is the 100 year of the establishing of the People's Republic of China.
And it's also the date in which Hong Kong will be completely passed on to the mainland.
I didn't realize the transition had to go on for that long. But
yes, it's in 2049. It's already like said. That is also why the sequel to In the Mood for Love is also called 2049.
Yeah. But the goal for then is to have like a world leader in every field and be globally influential, as opposed to what China is now. And what you'll notice is a lot of these goals are very, very modest. They always say something like build a moderately well-off country, or become one of the world leaders, or become world leading in a number of fields. So when the 13th 5-year plan ends, that marks the end of, not the end, but the transition away from poverty alleviation in the countryside towards the development of high-tech industries, R&D, and like green energy stuff, which is what you see more in the 14th 5-year plan.
It doesn't mean that all the rural areas, or like more like suburban areas in some other bigger cities, let's say, they are completely free from poverty, or completely developed in the standard that the rest of the country is. But it means like the proportion of these zones, the proportion of people living in these places that don't have access to like some of the basic commodities or things like that doesn't represent a really high percentage of the population. Now, of course, they're going to keep alleviating these problems, because that is, again, the main purpose of the economic development of the country for the Communist Party. But it's not like the biggest problem to attend.
But the goal of these 5-year plans is not to enforce like a top-down mode of planning on everything.
No.
Usually what they do is they set a number of goals, like long-term goals, like this 2021 thing, or just the goals for the end of the 5-year plan. And those inform basically just bankers. It's 90% of it, I think, is just investment, but also local governments, or military, or environmental, or research groups, what their goals should be for the next 5 years. And it's kind of like the big man setting the agenda. The other interesting thing about the 13th 5-year plan is the current leader of China. The 13th 5-year plan is technically his inaugural one, because the 12th 5-year plan, 2011 to 2016, was not planned by him.
Exactly.
He just had the goal of implementing it. And originally, he wasn't even supposed to have much to do with the 13th one, but he intervened to make sure that he could get started with what he wants to do in the 13th one. And by the time we get to the 14th one, it's entirely the big man's goals.
there was an interview that I see was released not long ago. I have to leave it here when we edit the whole chapter. But the interview is with the architect of the China's of the latest 5-year plan, and it's a one-on-one interview with him, and he says really interesting things. And mostly is that many people think that the way the 5-year plan is developed or approached is a very up to bottom. In the way that no up to bottom. In the way that Xi Jinping just says
that's top to bottom.
No, top to bottom.
Or top down.
Top down, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're getting confused. Top down.
Okay, yes.
It's stupid.
In the way, okay, my bad.
No. The English phrasing is stupid. Yours is funnier.
Yes, it is. I agree with that. So in the way that Xi Jinping just says, I want these objectives to be fulfilled, and just sending out to everyone, and you have to agree with it. And it's completely the opposite way, in the way that the delegates of the party in each of the regions and in each of the counties, they just take the information about the current stage of the development of the places that they take care of and they take charge of. They take a look at the current needs, the current objectives that they can achieve, what is the realistic perspective for them, and they just send it out to the central committees and the regional committees to further discuss how to implement, what measures can we implement, and how can we improve the quality of life of these people, and in what areas does a region excel, what areas need to be improved, and so on and so forth. And then, the complete planning, the complete architecture of the 5-year plan is all the opposite to what many people think, especially Western media, is from bottom to the top. And even this guy, he has said we usually don't have to do many. We don't have any situation in which one of the points of development, one of the measures that we have been proposed are completely scrubbed down and taken care and completely disappear, because the whole planning is really self-aware of the limitations and the current perspective, and also very realistic.
They're I would say very conservative a lot of the time. Most of the goals they put out, especially the ones with numbers on them, they're very conservative about those, and they always exceed them. They always go way beyond. Some of the stuff in the 14th one, it was achieved basically halfway through, and then by the time we get to what we're looking at with the 15th one, some of the goals that are supposed to wait until 2035 have already been completed. But they're not going to change it. They just want to keep it the same. And then the other thing that runs through this is this is the 5-year plan of the government, but most of particularly the military organizations, most of them have their own internal 5-year plans that feed into the main one. We don't get to see those ones, and we never get to hear about them because they're very, very, very boring. But those are usually the ones with the more specific metrics and measurements.
Not only for the army, but also for the education from the regions also.
Yeah, and for us, universities.
Exactly.
Every university will have a 5-year plan.
Exactly. Every university, every institution, every region, every county, they have their own measures to take, or maybe if the measures are the same as the general ones, they have the way that they can approach them, or what specific things they can do to achieve them.
Yeah.
In the way that now, for example, now they are talking about, we're going to go to that point later, but now it's a point where China is excelling in AI and data centers and things like that. And one of the things that CMP said recently were maybe not every region needs to excel at data centers or AI development or anything. We can just have a couple regions, 3 or whatever regions that excel at this, and then other regions can have their own excellence in other industries, in other fields.
To be fair, this was him emphasizing something that was already in the 14th plan.
Exactly.
It's specialization, planning for different regions to be good at different things. And when the AI craze came over and every single fucking province tried to build their own AI cluster, he told them to slow down a second.
Exactly, because everyone maybe appeared to forget about that point. We don't need to all have our own AI.
Just because our plan was in 2021 doesn't mean it's irrelevant now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But every region has their own development objectives. Every region has their own areas to improve.
I just, so the 5-year plans, they're released publicly about a year after everyone agrees on it. So the 5-year plan, the next 5-year plan will be released in March. It will be entirely in Chinese and there won't be an official English translation. We'll probably have to do a lot of work on that ourselves, or just listen to some American scholar argue about how to translate it. But the internal ones, they're all secret, which is funny because I want to read like the Jiangxi 5-year plan or something.
It would be like a really long chapter. I want all the regions, 5 years plan.
Yeah, I want to know how boring the what's the province called? Yinchuan's province, Ningxia. I want to read how boring, because it's the smallest one. I want to read how boring the Ningxia 5-year plan is.
I think it would surprise us in many ways,
It's probably 90% about tourism as well. But yeah, we should go, we're like half an hour in, I think. We should probably go over what was in the 14th 5-year plan.
So the 14th year plan, I have all my notes here. Don't forget about them.
Well, it's 19 articles, which have very, very, very boring titles that are quite hard to understand. But we can go through the rough topics.
Yeah. So there is 19 articles distributed along 9 main points.
Oh, 2 of the articles, I won't call them bullshit, but the 2 of the articles are really funny. The first article is, you're going to have to get my notes up, but I think the first article is to introduce the 5-year plan. The first article is just saying like the introduction of like your the introduction of your high school essay. It's the shortest chapter. And the last one, the last article of the 5-year plan is just to plan the next 5-year plan. So
strengthen the protection of planning and implementation, which accounts for
it's minor modifications to the very long process of making the 15th 5-year plan. So really, there's only 17 articles there.
Some other points adhere to one country, 2 systems to promote the reunification of the motherland. There is nothing new to that. It's not like suddenly this policy change or they forgot about it.
They could change it for the next one. We never know.
Maybe. But it's just like a reminder to also have even if things can change every 5 years, we have this set of rules that they're set in stone. And we just write them again.
It's usually
so people have it clear.
Yeah, it's usually about changing the methods as well. Yeah. Because I can remember we were talking about one country, 2 systems, and the places that are China but aren't China. And the 13th 5-year plan was really funny because you could see stuff in there like build friendly relations. Try to promote reunification through improved relations. And the 14th one is like, nah, we've given up on that now.
It's not like they have given up. I think...
Not given up, that's the wrong phrase.
No, but I mean, the situation is that right now in Taiwan, the DPP has the presidency, and the DPP is much less friendly towards a diplomatic approach to the reunification issue.
Did you see the guy getting vomited on?
Yeah, it's really funny.
I think you sent that to me, no?
Did I?
I don't know. I think it was. I was logged into the podcast account, and the first thing that came up was with what's his name, Mr. Lai getting vomited on at a temple. And I'm putting that in the episode because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, so they were just celebrating the New Year on a temple in Taipei, I think it was, and the chief of the temple just threw up on the Taiwan president.
What's our first topic?
So just to close that up, the approach is always desirable to be on the diplomatic way towards the topic of reunification. But this is a 2-way conversation that needs to be had. And right now the DPP is not very keen into it. So we're going to see how this approach, how this is emphasized in the next 5-year plan.
And in the 15th 5-year plan, we'll see if anything has changed.
So the first point is, everyone can expect this. The first point is focus on the economic development, which is improve the quality and effectiveness of development, maintain sustained and healthy economic growth. I like the point here of healthy, not only sustained. And you want to be sure that the economic growth is aimed at the right areas, at the right points. I guess to avoid the things that you have now for example, in the USA, where if you subtract all the AI and data center enterprises economic growth, the total economic growth of the country amounts to 0.4%. which is nothing.
So on economics, there's a number of things that are interesting about the 14th five-year plan. And the main one is refocusing away from the rural areas and towards the metropolitan areas of China. So building up cities. I think the rules are, there's a lot of stuff about hukou, like city registration.
Yes.
So part of the 14th five-year plan was getting rid of city citizenship for any city with less than 3 million people and relaxing it for the big cities. There's loads of stuff in there about city planning.
There is one of the points goes, I think it's the 7th or the 8th point that talks directly about it, about implementing the, I guess they want to do a revitalization of the whole ecosystem and how can people formalize the residents on the big cities.
But a lot of this is about building out a service economy. So changing China from the production powerhouse, because they've been investing so much money in the countryside, to making sure that domestic demand is good. So there's domestic demands for goods from the poor regions that they've just invested a shit ton of money in.
That is exactly another of the points. The subtext for this one says, we will keep major economic indicators within an appropriate range, set annual targets for economic growth in light of actual conditions, ensure that overall labor productivity grows faster than GDP, keep the surveyed urban unemployment rate within 5.5%, and keep prices generally stable.
Bars.
I was thinking, I didn't know what the labor productivity metric accounts for, and I had to search it up. Apparently, it's the relation between the goods and services provided by a certain activity and worker, and the resources used to obtain the productivity in a given time.
Well, productivity.
That also links to the way of healthy economic growth.
Yeah, per capita productivity is also measured very differently between China and other countries. So other countries will do per capita productivity as literally product or economic value divided by the time worked or something like that. China does a very complicated different approach, which means that, for example, a transport worker, their productivity is evaluated much higher than it would be in a Western country.
Yes.
Because someone who drives a bus isn't as productive as the bus fares that people are paying. But they're as productive as all the people that they can drive around, how much money they make.
I mean, that for me, that metric makes much more sense the way it's computed here than in other countries. You cannot measure everything only by the amount people pay for that.
And it's not necessarily a communist thing. I think it's a rational thing to evaluate productivity.
No, that's what I mean.
That way, a bit more sensibly.
Especially if you're considering it for a subsidized service, like public transportation.
Yeah. But there's a lot of workers in China whose contribution to society is through a service that they might not get a lot of money out of, but makes other people's lives a lot easier. Even if that person's wages is shit, you can't use that to measure their productivity.
Yeah, exactly. So the GDP growth was, according to their own results, there has not been a GDP growth
target.
There wasn't a specific target. There was no data published for 2025, but according to the sources that we're gonna put right here, these graphs, the average GDP growth year by year was around 5.5%.
Oh, mine said 5.25, but just above 5%. But the reason they didn't put in GDP targets, which is something they do in all the other five-year plans, is because of COVID. And I mean, we're saying the quarter before, or the quarter when they were planning a bunch of stuff, there's only one quarter in Chinese history that had negative GDP growth. And it was right when they were writing the five-year plan. So they didn't know what was going to happen in the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were very conservative about putting in a GDP growth target, which is something they've always put in previously.
We are going to see if now in the 15th five-year plan, they're going to include a GDP growth objective.
I don't know if they will, because there's not much point. I mean, we can talk about our predictions and whatever, but the 15th five-year plan, if they put in a GDP growth target, it's hard. If they do put in one, it's going to be 2%. It's not going to be very high, I think.
That would be...
It would be silly.
They cannot say 2%, because if you say our GDP is going to grow
at least
2% year on year, that means that you're accounting for the deceleration to progress at a much faster pace. And that's going to scare the people.
Yeah.
That's going to lower the consumption by a lot. But you cannot say that either. You have to be like conservative to know that you're going to achieve those results. But at the same time, you cannot give like exceedingly low expectations.
I know that if they're not certain that they can meet a goal, then they're not going to put it in.
Exactly. If they want to play safe, they won't give an objective.
Yeah.
They're going to say, oh yeah, it's a good result. Anyway.
If you don't think they're going to do that, then I don't think they're going to put one in at all.
Yeah, but if they say 2%, it would be the worst decision ever, I think.
2% for the UK would be good.
2% for any other country would be amazing. But if you say 2% in China, like the GDP year-on-year growth on 2020 was 10%. Yeah. You cannot say now on 2025, 2026, we're going to have 2% because that's going to think people, our economy is tanking.
Yeah, because the headlines would be shit. Exactly. But they should be able to say, if I was in charge, I think they should be able to say, hey, it might be shit, but it's going to be above 2, guaranteed. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 4.
I don't think the expectations work that way. I don't think so.
Well, they should just release a probability curve then. They should say like 50% chance, it's 5%.
It's going to be anywhere between 10
and 0. Anywhere between these two values.
Yeah, just guys, take it. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be the case. Anyway, the second point also goes on the topic of the economic growth and economic investment is pursue innovation-driven development, accelerate modernization of the industrial system. And the subtext says China's R&D spending will increase by more than 7% per year. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Which is expected to account for a higher percentage of GDP than that during the 13th five-year plan period.
Yeah.
And that has already been achieved according to ETSI Global, that we're going to say here. The National Bureau of Statistics announced on January 24th that China's total expenditure on R&D exceeded 3.61 trillion yuan.
Awesome.
Trillion yuan.
But the thing is with R&D, announced in the 5-year plan, what you think is like, the government's going to spend all this money on R&D. But because it's the 5-year plan, what they're saying is that the banks have to cough up all this money to invest in chips and also stuff like GMO seeds and green electricity and EVs. Actually, I think EVs was the one thing where the government basically guaranteed an R&D budget for EV batteries. But a lot of these fields, they're kind of saying that we expect you, the girl reading this, to spend all your money on R&D in China to make our country nice and strong.
Well, there is a difference also between like the basic research and the advanced research. And for example, it was seen that the overall expenditure on research increased by 8.3% on the last year, but the basic research expenditure raised by 10.5%.
What's basic research?
Well, I guess the metric of what accounts for basic also like it can be really like obscure, I guess.
Basic research is teaching the pandas how to fuck. Advanced research is making
they need to pump much more money on that. I mean, that's not going well.
Basic research, right. Put on the panda costume. Here's a flashlight.
Here, have a bowl of strawberries. Just make them eat them all and pray for it. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but I guess like the basic research is just like a very like for technologies that are far away from being implemented into industrial environment, but they will be someday.
Yeah, I think basic research could also be like stuff like, I mean, the Instagram videos I sent you before where it's like, we've got this brand new fucking train in China. It's the best train you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a hybrid train with overhead power lines.
Yes.
And it's like, is that advanced? I thought we would have already had that by now, but it turns out it was some kind of big innovation. And advanced R&D is the stuff that makes big headlines.
Exactly. You have to be really into that technology. Like you have to be a really connoisseur of it to realize how big an improvement these kind of things are. And like you're gonna be an expert on all of it. You're gonna win them all, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think about this, well, you watched the New Year Gala as I did. And I think the...
Yawn.
Huh?
Yawn.
So the New Year Gala, I think this was also like, apart from all the metrics, apart from all the numbers and the statistics, it was a way of the government saying like, yeah, we nailed that one.
We nailed the R&D one. The R&D one, we got it in the bag.
The data-driven society is all made up.
You've got Digital China next, haven't you?
Yes. Digital China is also one of the objectives.
I didn't even know that. I just predicted it because you said...
It was a really big objective. And yeah, of course, they have more than surpassed their expectations. I think if you told the heads up in 2020 that in 5 years, China would be leading the AI race.
Well, and they would be cashless. I see the Digital China stuff as mostly like WeChat Pay and Alipay.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that's the one thing that's affected our lives the most is like, in 2021, there was WeChat Pay, people using WeChat Pay.
Yeah.
But the idea of a completely cashless society in 5 years was kind of crazy. And digital China as this idea of like digitizing almost every everyday transaction. Well, now you can't even walk into a fucking coffee shop without scanning a QR code to order your fucking coffee.
But at the same time, because you're so used to it, you have in every aspect of your life, you don't feel it like something invasive.
For better or worse, Digital China is now the most successful thing out of the 45-year plan because every old person on the subway is like going crazy.
Scrolling, doom scrolling.
Maybe not scrolling. I don't know if Digital China includes like Tibetan girls dancing, live streaming on Douyin.
If it does, I think it shouldn't. But I also saw like there was a good take that I saw on social media the other day, and it was like the thing like Douyin and these platforms do for people to allow to just make their income. So like not only dancing, but like what many people on the Western side doesn't know is that even TikTok has its own store. Like you can do e-commerce on TikTok. You can ship your goods, and it allows for a very like seamless transition, very seamless communication with between seller and the providers and the customers. So in turn, these platforms all allow for many people to make their income, to make their living without resorting to any kind of black market activities or anything like that, or like sex activities, which is also one of the worries of any government, I guess, that uneducated or people without resources have to resort to sex work or any kind of other activities like this to make their living. So in turn, even if we think like, oh yeah, these stupid dances, there is more to it.
I just brought it up because it's one of the others.
Yeah.
Every time I log into the podcast Twitter account, I see the worst things ever. So
no, exactly. But I also used to say that we're like, how many streams of people dancing do you need on a platform? And then that take took me by surprise. We're like, okay, yeah, maybe it has a reason.
Digital China, I see, is like very much contributing to the middle class. Like you said, where like you now have e-commerce. I can go, I should really do it after the holidays ended. But you can go on Red Note, Xiaohongshu, and there's the market on there. There are so much fucking sick things. I saw a Disco Elysium playing card pack, which I need to buy for like 30 RMB. And it's this like, college student that's making them. Yeah,
Xiaohongshu also has its own store, and it's not only for like handmade stuff, there is a lot.
Yeah.
There is also like clothes from Zara that are flagged directly from the factory. There is people selling avocados for a really good price.
Which avocados and pecorino cheese and all the Spanish ham you can want.
Yeah, exactly. All the weird things that maybe you don't even find on Taobao or Pinduoduo, you can find it there.
But you can't find Pornhub socks on there.
Yeah, exactly. So
win some you lose
it's on that. So the third point, we are like covering a lot of ground today. The third point is create robust domestic market and foster new development pattern. That is what we were setting on before.
Yeah. Don't look at me. This one I got confused about is just increasing domestic demand or domestic development.
Both. I think this has to do more, like they are not mentioning directly, but it has to do a lot with the made in China.
Oh yeah, shit, the made in China 2025 stuff.
Exactly.
Keep an eye on CGTN for the end of the month. Because there's going to be a video.
Yeah, because you're going to be there.
I'm going to be on there talking about Made in China 2025.
So yeah, like during the COVID-19 crisis, the brand Made in China, I think that was the moment when it stopped to have that like negative meaning to it when people in Western countries stop to realize that many ships coming from many things coming from China started to have a better quality, or they offer something new that Western brands couldn't compete with in some way.
I can kind of see it as like, because with all of these things, I'm always thinking like, what's the other meaning of it? I can kind of see this one as like, please stop buying expensive foreign goods that we can make here.
Yeah.
Don't buy an iPhone, don't buy a Tesla, don't you dare fucking buy fancy clothes. We can make all that shit here.
Yeah. So what also links with this is the development of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is also like further highlighted in one of the following points. But yeah, it all returns to fostering internal commerce, fostering internal consumption and internal commerce in every way. And I think, well, we can see that is more than achieved too. They don't have any specific metrics to measure this success in these points, but of course they're going to have it on the inside.
Are we talking about the environment now?
The environment is going to come later. The fourth point is the advanced rural revitalization across the board, improved new urbanization strategy.
Say it one more time slowly.
Advanced rural.
No.
Advanced
rural
revitalization. Across the board, improved new urbanization strategy. So that links with the things that you were mentioning before about the hukou.
Yeah, and you said the rural revitalization. This is something that I feel like it was much bigger 2 years ago. But rural revitalization is funny because it's one where we've got these villages and everyone's moving from the villages into the cities. But tourists still want to come out of the city and go to these villages. So we turn, the negative word is like Potemkin town, the closest or tourist trap. But they turn the villages into like really nice places to go and visit. Yeah. They do this like revitalization of the rural economy where maybe the agriculture is going to stay there, but also we're going to bring in artisan goods. And also we're going to bring in like fucking Airbnb or something like that, and fancy homestays and like tea experiences.
Yeah, not Airbnb, but the Chinese equivalent.
Yeah. We're turning the rural areas that would otherwise become deprived when you see such high levels of rural to urban migration into fancy little places to go and visit. And I don't mind it so much, but...
I don't mind it as long as they keep the local spirit. The local
exactly,
soul.
Yeah.
Because many of these towns, as you're saying, like the term Potemkin crown,
I always do this thing where I think of something and the worst thing I can think of comes to mind. I'm like, that's the word I'm going to stick with.
I mean, some of them, it's true that some of these small villages that are like remodernized to adapt to this idea or directly built from scratch to serve as like tourist points and things like that. They are fake in the sense like they are not, you're not seeing any real history there because that town was maybe like 5 years old. So I think if they focus more on trying to preserve the history on the places that actually happened instead of like trying to create it from zero, from the ground.
Definitely.
That would be much more attractive also for tourists, both national and international. But that's just my point of view. About the surface then for farmland, according to China Daily, in 2024, the total farmland area reached nearly 1.94 billion mu, which is around 129.33 million hectares, with an increase of 28 million mu compared to 2020. That's a good result. That again, the red line that they didn't want to cross was to keep the farmland above 120 million mu. Yeah. So that is more than achieved too. Again, I don't think that was a really conservative.
Well, if they only
objective,
if they only just passed it, it sounds more like something where to be safe, they want to keep it above that.
Yeah.
And I mean, back in 2021, one of the big concerns was food security. Like, I can remember being in the UK and people were talking about like, well, if the world goes to shit, China's got grain reserves for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So I can see food security being the main reason they would say we need our agricultural land to stay above this amount.
Yeah, and I think like so far it's also like really well realized in the way that the quality of the vegetables and fruits that you have here is really high, and you don't really have any problem with like the development of the farmland areas or like
also it doesn't include the what would you call it, the informal farmland that we see in the cities whereas like grandmas and grandpas like digging a little allotment out of the car.
Yeah, of course, that doesn't account for it.
They should include that. That should be in the 16.
How do you measure? Do you take a guy in every cell to just measure him?
Decrease the unemployment rate. Get the young people out with tape measures.
Should they do it with a ruler?
No, you've got surveying equipment for that. You've got business
with the telemetry. Like
what do you call the tripods with the little camera on? They can make a killing selling those to young people to go and measure all the allotments.
I think many young university students will do it for free.
I've got such a fucking good thumbnail for this. I sent you the picture of the China Aerospace Technology Corporation building right outside the farm with the ground.
Yeah.
That's going in. That's going to be the thumbnail.
That's really good. I have to walk around my area now to see if there is like there are so many grandmas like planting tomatoes. Or
I haven't
like
seen anything in Tiantong-Yuan. I think you would have to. Would you have to go north towards the river? No.
You would have to go more to the river to.
Yeah.
When I was living in Huilongguan on that, you can. If you went just a little bit up to the north, you could see many people doing it. But here in this area, there is also many people doing it. Like smaller scale because this area is like less rural than my previous one. But yeah, still you can see it everywhere. That's the thing.
Number 6 will surprise you. Number 5 will surprise you.
Improve regional economic structures, promote coordinated regional development.
What's the picture for that one? That one looks like Guangzhou South Station.
It's a train station. I don't know which one because I don't have that flavor of how this.
I'm 90% sure that's Guangzhou South.
No, it doesn't. It just said like Huanyin Guanling. So
yeah, but I recognize it's Guangzhou.
I haven't been.
It's Guangzhou South. It's the biggest in Asia, I think. Second, Beijing South is second, and it's Guangzhou.
Really? Because I remember that the Chongqing one was massive too.
Yeah, but it's not up there. Maybe it's number 3 or 4. I only know the top 2.
So anyway, like this point also has a lot to do with the point of like fostering like internal commerce. Yeah,
regional specialization, right? Is the American scholar I listened to. He was saying that the key examples of this were before 2021. The Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Pearl River Delta area was a bit of a free-for-all, tech companies and finance companies and what have you. And the same goes for Shanghai, Hangzhou, Nanjing area, and also like the Beijing tech hubs. Everyone was fucking going crazy at that point during COVID. And this part of the plan was like, no, we can't have this. We're going to specialize, going to explicitly say that the Pearl River Delta in Guangdong is going to be the Silicon Valley. That's the Silicon Valley. There's tech hubs in other cities, but that's the Silicon Valley of China. And Shanghai and its supporting areas are going to be working on culture and international development efforts.
Yeah, you can see that Shanghai is by far like the most.
And then we're putting all the defense stuff in Beijing because obviously we are.
Beijing is just being led for like the government and military stuff. Shanghai is like the international port, the international like welcoming port for all the countries to do their business and tourism and everything like that. And then if you want to really do some more specific trading and things like that, you can go to the free trade zones, which I'm gonna comment on later. But yeah, everything goes related to the development of the both national and international commerce. Yeah. And in this case, I can see like the promote coordinated regional development also links with the thing of like further connecting all the regions of the country through high-speed railway.
What is it? They call it the eight verticals, eight horizontals. The high-speed network thing that they achieved.
Yeah.
That's one of the things listed on Wikipedia, which I only skim through because I don't rely on Wikipedia.
How many miles of high-speed railway? It's like...
Don't ask me.
You are the train autist.
It's coming up now.
Pew!
And it's gone.
Should we put it up again?
And it's going up again now.
We take it back. So yeah, I'm gonna guess it was like 50,000.
High-speed rail was included in that, but also included in regional development was the interesting thing. People make a big deal out of it, and I think it's funny, even though I haven't tried it yet. It's like, it's Nanjing and another city, and Hangzhou and Shaoxing, and Shenzhen and Guangdong, you can now ride the subway between those two cities.
Did we mention
without getting
on one of the...
we mentioned it because it's so funny. No, there's no other country on earth where you can really do
exactly.
that.
When I told my family about that, like, you can change cities on the subway, they were like...
I mean, it's really uncomfortable. I don't know why anyone would do it, but you can do it. It's probably really cheap. And that's part of the regional development goals, is for some reason linking the subways of the cities together. They might have some further goals on that, but...
I don't know how many cities would like qualify to do that, because they have to...
I still think at the minute it's only those three. It's only Nanjing, Hangzhou, and Shenzhen that have the links to other cities.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I don't think you can do that, for example, more in the north. Because of the complicated terrains and everything
It's less dense. It's much less dense in the north.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other example would technically be the new city in Beijing, which already existed, and Changping city in Beijing, which already existed. But instead of connecting the two cities, those were just absorbed into Beijing a long time ago.
Yeah.
You're never going to get a Beijing-Tianjin link because that would be the worst subway ride ever.
Yeah, exactly. And they already are treating like Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei like a sort of unified area for many things like commerce or like defense and everything like that. So there is no real point of trying to do it.
And I think the only reason those cities have got it is because they already have extensive networks.
Yeah.
And the other cities they could expand it to they don't have extensive metro networks. We're talking about Chinese cities that maybe have 4 to 5 to 6 lines.
Yeah.
Which is bigger than a lot of Western cities.
And Shenzhen and Hong Kong, they're like the suburban areas of both cities. Like they almost touch each other.
They do touch each other, yeah.
Expanding the metro network to just directly connect those cities is not such a big deal. And for maybe someone going from the center of Shenzhen to Hong Kong, maybe it's easier for them to just take the high-speed railway. But from someone going from any of the suburban areas to just go to work to Hong Kong or vice versa, it's going to be much.
How many people? I don't think many people commute to Hong Kong from Shenzhen.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how many people do it, but I think if we look it up,
I'll tell you
it's
some funny
way more
Hong Kong visa stuff after we stop recording.
Okay. So the 6th point is again more like economic growth oriented objective. Is advance the reform and opening up across the board, bolster momentum and vitality of development. Nothing new to this point again, but one of the things that struck me as the materialization of this objective was the Hainan Free Trade Port that was officially launched in December of this year, of the past year, 2025, and already has like the independent customs operation. This means that
means if you're a German guy, you can set up a sausage factory there.
Exactly, with really low import tariff on the tax, on the income and everything like that. The thing is like they want to turn it into a port for free trade.
I think we should start a factory in Hainan.
For what?
I don't know.
We already talked about our plan to have a
train wheels. I don't know.
You are taking your train audition too far. I'm sorry.
No, because your materials, that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, but I haven't touched steel for a long time.
Oh, fucking hell. Imagine making little model trains and model aeroplanes. That's such a lucrative market for China. We could beat them. I guarantee you we can make do the anime ones.
I think if we make a really, really realistic model of a F-35, F-35 or something like that we're going to get detained in seconds.
Fictional planes and fictional trains.
Fictional is okay. Because if we make it too realistic, they're going to say, how the fuck do you know?
This is my business idea. I'm getting rid of this. Don't steal.
It's already patented. I'm sorry. So in saying it with a few more numbers, the proportion of tariff lines with zero tariff products in the Hainan Free Trade Port will increase from 21% to 74%. 74%.
Wow.
And the products that undergo at least 30% value-added processing in Hainan can enter the mainland tariff-free. Again, this is not only that something that will be localized on Hainan. Any goods that come from Hainan then enter the mainland. The rest of the country are going to be applied the same laws and regulations.
I think they should have made a chapter just dedicated to Hainan in the 14th five-year plan, because Hainan got all this shit and they got a spaceport in the last 5 years?
My guess is that they were not sure if they could like have it all set up before the end of the year.
The spaceport was not supposed to be set up. The spaceport was done in advance.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's funny how much money they spent on Hainan in the past 5 years.
Yeah, but that's why I think they didn't mention it like so directly.
Yeah.
Maybe they do it like in their internal documentation.
Hainan.
Yeah.
We're going to go record an episode in Hainan if we get enough money.
We go to Sanya, please.
No, we're not going to... Fucking Sanya's a tourist trap. We're going to Wenchang. We're going to the space launch site.
But can we just stop by Sanya?
Yeah, we can stop by Sanya.
I just want to go to the beach for a while.
The whole island's covered in beaches. And some of the beaches you can see rocket launches from. You pick the most crowded beach to go to.
Whatever.
Well,
Whatever
the
this guy says.
The 15 5-year plan. China's first nudist beach on Hainan Island.
That will be really successful. I think like everyone will like that.
Yeah.
So the 7th point is, again, what we were talking at the beginning. We're so ahead up of it. Is to promote green development, ensure harmony between humanity and nature.
Yeah, so we might do it entire...
Is that the second point? No, stop.
Stop what?
That's what you said. When I was saying the second point, it's like, oh, green development. Like, please, please.
I mean, we might do an entire episode on green development stuff. But everyone knows about China's green development. We may as well go to 7 because, like...
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows how much green development and green energy.
I would like to know how humble their goals were in 2021 and how much they've exceeded them in 2025.
Actually, they were not so humble, and they were like, this objective was surpassed but not by.
But they said
super low.
They said the one I read said they wanted to reach max carbon emissions by 2030, and they achieved that this year.
Energy consumption per unit of GDP and carbon dioxide emissions per unit of GDP will be reduced by 30.5% and 18% respectively.
Yeah.
So there is no greenhouse. Well, one of the other objectives that they had according to the government officials, is that they wanted the greenhouse gases emissions to peak before
2030.
No, before this 5-year plan, before the end of 2025.
The one I read said it was before 2030. I'm going to check.
I guess in some point they changed the approach or the metrics that they are using to measure.
They achieved it this year, but I'm pretty sure the goal was 2030.
They achieved it, yeah, exactly. They achieved it, but it was just like by a very little margin, because the emissions from all the industries have been lower, except for the chemical industry. Yeah. The chemical industry has seen a massive growth during these 5 years, so the emissions have also grown. But in turn, everything is within the margins of what they wanted to achieve. Yeah. The CO2 numbers imply that China's carbon intensity, its fossil fuel emissions per unit of GDP, fell by 4.7% in 2025 and by 12% during 2020 to 25. Yeah. According to carbonbrief.org. And moreover, China will now need to cut its carbon intensity by around 23% of the next 5 years in order to meet one of its key climate commitments under the Paris Agreement. Yeah. So I think that is also going to be really achievable. I think that's what we're going to see a lot of in the 15 5-year plan is how to move beyond peak carbon and go into decreasing carbon. Yeah. And a lot of that's going to be steel industry, concrete industry, chemical industry, because the local networks in most places have already been like greenified as quickly as they possibly can. I read a lot about carbon capture research in China, and I always thought carbon capture is really stupid, because like taking carbon out of the atmosphere and doing something with it just takes up so much energy. I mean, in the uninhabitable Earth, they talk about how stupid carbon capture is, but I didn't realize that one of the tactics that China's looking into, you'll like this, is really funny. So you can do carbon capture and storage in industry. Like when you do your steel industry stuff, you take the carbon and you just pump it somewhere. Yeah. And you pump it underground like 90% of the time. And that's really, really, really expensive. But what they were talking about is basically developing like a reverse oil pipeline network. So your carbon comes out of your steel factories and it doesn't go pumped straight into the ground. It's pumped by pipes together into a whole network,
And then there's regional centers for carbon storage that take in, suppose Shanxi, for example, I don't know, pick a province with like a really carbon intensive industry, carbon intensive economy. You have a network of pipes all leading to one place in that province where it's stored. And then depending on the economics of the pipeline installation, like, you just think, I thought that's crazy, but that could work.
It's really crazy, but it's not the craziest idea I have seen about like CO2 capture. Like one of the hot plans that was developed not only in China, like in the world, like when I was doing my undergraduate, like I don't want to see how many years ago, it was like storing the CO2 under the sea.
Under the sea, brilliant.
At the deep enough, so like the total water pressure just keeps it in a...
Oh, I see.
Contained.
So the bubbles wouldn't come up.
Exactly. So the bubbles wouldn't come up and you can store
Wait, no,
virtually infinite mass.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
If the pressure is the same on all the sides and the density's low, it would still float up.
They realized sometime that the depth that you would have to store it was going to be really, really low.
Okay.
So it's not going to be like a feasible solution. It may be feasible. Like you can do it, yeah, but you're gonna spend a shit ton of money.
Pump it into a volcano, I don't know.
And the other thing that they are doing, is one of the main basic research topics, hot basic research topics right now, is electrochemical CO2 reduction.
Yeah.
That is like you essentially do electrochemical reactions to convert CO2 into some other compound that you can store more easily, either store it, dispose of it, or use it in another industrial process. Yeah. Essentially turning CO2 into a byproduct that is still can be used in your favor.
As of 2019, that wasn't feasible. I'm curious to see whether it becomes feasible. But the book I read said that in order for those kind of machines to become feasible, at the current like energy efficiency, basically every single person on Earth would need to buy and maintain like a fridge-sized carbon capture unit to even like maintain like a neutral amount. I'm sure it's way more efficient now.
It doesn't have to be like that because the main bottleneck for this is like having catalysts that can actually trigger these electrochemical reactions with a low input of energy and for a really long time, which is like the main hot research. As long as you have a material that can achieve this, you can just like make big hubs into industries or like whatever and just capture all the CO2 that you want from your process.
The pipeline idea thing.
Exactly. The pipeline, instead of just storing it, you just take it to a place to be converted.
Also, I think the idea was like if it's already in the atmosphere, it's too dispersed to ever be efficient.
Exactly.
If you can capture it as soon as it comes out of the industry, then...
The CO2 capture thing never attempts to do something with the CO2 in the atmosphere. It just attempts to do something with the CO2 that you liberate, that you set out from the industries.
Yeah.
So the CO2 in the atmosphere, it will just regulate by itself. It will just go to the plants, take part in the animal life cycle. Yeah. It's a matter of time,
Yeah.
Once you stop cutting the emissions from the human activities.
Yeah, it takes about 100 years.
Exactly. No, not even 100 years.
It does. It takes 100 years for the climate to stabilize.
No, you saw how fast. You could see already like quality of air changes during the COVID when we had to stop.
No, but that's bullshit. The climate emissions we've already created are locked in for 100 years. So we have 2 degrees of global heating by like 2100. We can't do anything about that now.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, if you imagine that you suddenly magically achieve to just cut all the greenhouse gases emissions from all industries in all the world to zero tomorrow.
Yeah, it wouldn't
take 100 years. The assumption is that it wouldn't take 100 years.
We would still be 2 degrees locked in.
We will still be in trouble.
Yeah.
It will still take time, but it won't be in 100 years.
I think it would be. Let's go to the next point.
I hope you're wrong. I hope I'm right.
I hope everything I read is wrong too.
So the point number 8 is improve people's well-being and strive for common prosperity. Nothing new. There is the whole point of the economic growth for the Communist Party. Like if you don't improve people's quality of life, then why do you even want to have a growing economy? Nothing new about it. They also mentioned that they want to carry out an initiative raise the quality of education and expand its capacity. They want the working age population to have, in average, 11.3 years of education by the end of the 14th.
How much further are we than that?
I don't know how far it was at the beginning of the 14th 5-year plan, but now it was already achieved. And also, they said we will make all-round efforts to build a healthy China and raise the average life expectancy by 1 year.
Yeah,
that was already achieved last year, actually.
Yeah,
really early. And it is also expected that they will keep on track with this objective in the following 5-year plan.
But you know how they did this is they expanded the pension schemes and improved healthcare for elderly people mainly.
Yeah, I think you had data on that, on the total pensions coverage.
Yeah, I think it went up to, I don't know, it's in there somewhere.
It's really high.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, they also, at the beginning of the 14th 5-year plan, the life expectancy was 78.
Yeah.
Now it's more than 79.
Yeah.
And they want to achieve the 80 before 2030, which of course is going to be achieved if they just keep going at this pace. And the 9th point, and the last one, is ensure development and security usher in new stage in building peaceful China. I just think it's funny that they choose a picture of a guy like harvesting some wheat to illustrate this point, when what they actually mean is improve our defense capabilities.
Yeah.
Among all the things.
Yeah, they say peaceful China, and then the word for peaceful also means the word for safe.
Yeah.
So like peaceful or safe. I mean, this American guy I listened to, he was so mad that people were translating it as peaceful instead of safe. But yeah, it's about defense capabilities more than anything.
Yeah, I mean...
Which we can't talk about too much.
You cannot say it explicitly, because also, like, I think if you say we're going to raise our expense in defense by X%, the Western media are going to take it like a declaration of war, essentially.
Yeah.
I guess that is one of the reasons why they don't want to say this. But essentially, the regulations about the defense and war doctrine of China is very keen on essentially that, on defense, on and not attacking first and not expanding the territories. That is one of the main points that they have explicitly stated since forever. I also read, for example, the other day, like, for example, the nuclear doctrine states that they cannot use nuclear power against or even threaten with nuclear power a nation that doesn't have nuclear capabilities.
Yeah. They're also a non-first strike nation, I believe.
They have non-first strike, but what surprised me was not to threaten a nation with nuclear power if they don't have nuclear power.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, this all goes to say, like, all the defense and the weapons development is keen on, like, not having to use it ever, hopefully.
One of the things between the 13th, 14th, and probably the 15th one as well is the defense goals are all aimed entirely regional. Nowhere does it says we need a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier that can go all the way to the Middle East and intervene there. It's entirely, like, by 2035 or by 2049, they supposedly want to be influential in the world, which might mean that their defense capabilities by 2049 could look a lot more different, a lot more like America's. But that would be a long way away, where they would go, okay, now we have a military that could go and do something somewhere else. Right now, all they want is defense.
The main point that they need to achieve that objective is to become a blue navy.
Yeah.
They can operate on all the seas in the world, and for that they need to have nuclear aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
They are building the Type 6. It was.
I have no idea, but that's a long-term goal, is what I mean.
Yes.
The short-term goal is security of what they see as their territory, which includes a lot of stuff that people dispute.
But building a nuclear power aircraft carrier also takes, like, at least between 5 to 10 years. So of course, everything that is gonna happen between 2030 and 2040 is already being developed. It's already being at least taking the first steps. And about that objective, as I said, like, in strengthening the Navy, having increasing the number of aircraft carriers and long-range vessels is the main point to achieve that. And I think we have covered all of that. So the 2 sessions are going to be in March. What is your expectation? Anything new to expect from the 5-year plan?
I think the thing we've omitted is some of the stuff in the 14th So we talk especially about what's in the 14th five-year plan, but we also didn't talk about the challenges that they faced that were outside of that. So the stuff people want to talk about in like the world is the stuff that wasn't in the 14th five-year plan. So they didn't have a strategy. Well, I like to think that the economic stuff, they did kind of predict tariffs by asking to increase domestic demand. But that's going to be something that's much more heavily addressed in the 15th five-year plan is domestic demand to counteract tariffs or building friendly relations with countries that have been affected by tariffs.
Which are also doing.
Yeah, they're not a reactive country. So I think most of the stuff, like I'm not expecting a whole chapter dedicated to AI. I'm expecting a lot more of the same stuff with R&D. But I'm expecting the R&D focuses to change to fields that they see as missing. So I think there will be a chapter of a article saying this is what the domestic AI plan is.
Yeah, I don't think AI is going to be mentioned like so directly into any of the points because I mean essentially everything about developing the data-driven country.
They say high quality domestic production.
Exactly, they're not going to say anything about.
But I reckon
AI.
There will be a chapter in there that has a euphemism for AI.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're not going to say explicitly, but they're going to mean it anyway.
And there will be a chapter in there which has a euphemism for tariffs. But I'm expecting...
Which one?
What do you mean? Domestic demand, dual circulation. Or the one that will make it really obvious is if they talk about trade partners. Strategic trade partners.
Trade partners, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of the goals will stay the same because they aren't a reactive country. A lot of the stuff that will be in the five-year plan...
No, they plan ahead.
From 1 year ago. And it's all going to be stuff in line with the goal of 2035.
I mean, what you were saying about they were already thinking about the possibility of having high tariffs during these years. It was not because they knew Trump was going to get elected, but rather because they are aiming to become a more self-sufficient country and expand their industrial capabilities and improve the quality of their goods to also export them. And they mean like, if we do that, people are going to have to put us tariffs to keep being competitive in their own markets.
I think that's what they saw. Yeah, I think they saw that if they produced a shit ton of EVs, then people were going to accuse them of flooding the market and put tariffs on them.
It has nothing to do with Trump. Like they are saying like the same situation that happened with the Japanese cars in the 80s.
Yeah, I'm not expecting the defense chapter or the one country, two systems chapter articles to be any different. I'm really not expecting massive changes in that direction. I think most of the changes will be some kind of reaction to where China is with like digital China stuff. So they might have like new goals for that, that they're pushing people towards. And I think I can see the biggest thing being smart manufacturing. So smart manufacturing, the idea that like actually the productivity is going to increase, but unemployment is going to increase with that because a lot more of the manufacturing is going to be with the fucking not humanoid Spring Gala robots, but definitely something that looks like that is going to come along, and I think they're going to have to try and anticipate that. So based on the theme of them like anticipating big economic challenges, I can see them being like, well, we're going to have to increase, I don't know, fucking arts funding or like
something like that.
Yeah,
you already have factories that are completely unmanned during most of the time in China, especially for EV cars and things like that.
One of the things that was in the 13th five-year plan and the 14th five-year plan that was very quiet was like cultural confidence, national rejuvenation, socialist culture. And I think that's probably going to have to become a much bigger thing because it's not something they've been very good at, is promoting Chinese culture abroad.
So, soft power.
Yeah, they call it soft power or whatever, but like, I think what they want to do is put in an article that's going to say, please make some good Chinese movies.
Well, I think maybe they did inadvertently, but they have had some success, especially in the last 2 years. You can see them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
China appearing in the Western social media.
Labubu's weren't in the 14th five-year plan. They had cultural soft power, but they didn't anticipate that.
Exactly.
I think they will put in something much more akin to domestic IP that isn't cheesy or that isn't knockoff of Western shit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like Nietzsche, but yeah, now is the biggest animation movie ever is now Chinese. So
I like Ne Zha 1 a little bit. I think Ne Zha 1 gets a hard knock. I like the Li Bai movies. The Li Bai movie.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be like Article 9. We need a Chinese Severance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We need a Chinese Pluribus.
Exactly, because the Li Bai movies, they're really interesting. They're really well made. They have really...
Watch the Li Bai movie. It looks like shit. It's 3 hours long, but it's so good.
But it has historical value. It has like cultural value, but it's something that will be appreciated mostly only for Chinese people or people that are really into Chinese culture anyway. If you want to expand the cultural appreciation to the Western countries or to the world in general, you have to do something that plays by the same rules or that doesn't need like a really tight understanding of Chinese culture to be enjoyed in some way. So you have to appeal to a completely different audience. And it's something that you have to do if you also want to have its repercussions in the economical plane, if you want, because in the long term, it's also going to affect how all the tariffs game and things like that.
Yeah. My final prediction before you give some of your predictions, I think will be some kind of subtle reaction to like rising right-wing movements around the world, particularly in the local region. Like they won't have anticipated the Japanese prime minister being given like the biggest majority ever, but they would have known that something like that was coming, and they would have probably seen some kind of change in South America coming. I think
everyone could see that coming the moment she disbanded the parliament.
But the current 5-year plan was written 1 year ago. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure there will be something in there that will be like, we need to strengthen this thing domestically because we can't rely on this. Or like, there will be some kind of reaction in there to right-wing movements in Europe.
Yeah, because also like they are trying to make tighter bonds with many countries in Europe, like right now the UK recently.
That's not a tight bond, but yeah.
It's starting.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the prime minister visiting. It's a good news. You have like the visa exemption.
Yeah.
It's not a tight bond as tight with other countries, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And
we're gonna give our polymarket tip. Bet against them saying multipolar. Do not bet against them saying multipolar world in the 15th 5-year plan.
Do not
bet against that on Polymarket or what's the other one, Kalshi.
I am not into betting. I'm sorry. The other thing is like, also Spain. But you cannot always rely on these countries having the same attitude towards China because they rely essentially on the next elections.
Yeah.
I don't know how the thing looks in the UK.
We're going to have a reform government in 2 years.
We're going to have a right-wing government in Spain. I think so.
Yeah. When's your next election?
2027.
That was 2, I think. No. We're 2 years out. We'll be 2028 or 2029, I think.
If the government reaches 2027, that's what I mean.
Oh, true. Keir Starmer could be gone next week.
No, I was talking about our government too.
Your government too.
Both our governments.
All you need is one more high-speed train crash or something.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 are going to just be the last nail on the coffin.
You've had a bad run. So
yeah, a really bad run.
A generational bad run in Spain.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, you cannot always rely on these governments having the same attitude towards you because the government is not going to be the same in like 2 years or 3.
Yeah.
So you also have to make some backup plan, or at least making a way to be sure that even if these countries don't want to deal with you in such a friendly way as before, they have to because they have no alternative. like what was happening to Argentina.
Well, Keir Starmer said, if we don't trade with China, someone else will. Which is classic Keir Starmerism, where he says the truth accidentally. And the CEO of the company I interned at, he quoted that to me and said it was very funny. Because that's what China says internally. And they will never say it explicitly. And Keir Starmer came to China and he said, yeah, if we don't trade with China, someone else will.
Milei, before getting elected, said, if you elect me, I will not make any fucking deal with those dirty communists. Yeah. And then he gets elected, and guess what? He faces reality. He must do it because China has a big participation into the Argentinian market.
I did think of one more prediction for the 15th 5-year plan, which is just because I'm such a climate pessimist. But I think they will have like strengthened climate-related disaster relief because of the amount of like extreme rainfall events in China over the past 5 years and the like devastating effects, especially in like Hebei from like landslides and stuff. I reckon there will be like strengthened disaster response because they know, and I know, that when climate shit hits the fan in 2035,
it's going to get much worse.
China's going to look a lot better than any country that doesn't have flood relief. I was just reminded of like...
That's a really good point. I didn't think about it. But yeah, especially when they are developing a lot of measures to help in this aid relief in places affected by natural
droughts, rainfall, landslides,
natural disasters of any kind.
Of any kind, yeah.
For example, they have developed really big drones for cargo transfer, which are really useful if you want to carry now also like injured people, for example, from really remote areas are inaccessible for planes or even helicopters.
I mean, typhoon response in South China is very, very mature, but they keep getting caught out with stuff. So I think, like, solidifying all like disaster response.
It's not the USA, but it's still they hit pretty hard every now and then.
Yeah.
And also you have the S200.
Show me the notes because we got to wrap up soon. I got to see if I missed anything.
Here are your notes. And you have the S200, which is, I guess most of you have already seen it, like this big wind turbine that is like lifted into the air, tethered by cables that transmit the energy generated by the wind turbine to the ground. And they're just raised like 200 meters up in the air. They don't generate a lot of electricity compared to other mediums, of course, but they're really useful when you're in a place that is affected by a disaster like this. And
we talked about it last episode too. So.
Yeah, because I love that project. Have you seen how fucking cool it is?
We got 2 other projects we haven't even mentioned because of the success of the R&D stuff in the 14th Five-Year Plan, like Tiangong, the space station, and the C919 are like directly related to the 14th Five-Year Plan.
Yeah.
So the 15th Five-Year Plan is going to have some shit related to that as well. Probably like maturing the C919 and having like international adoption.
Have you seen they also developed the C901?
No, I haven't.
That is plane hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have already developed it completely. It's already flying.
No, we covered everything in here.
Yeah, we did pretty well, I think.
But we were like an hour 30, so what can we say?
What can we say? We are really interesting guys to
This is going to be the most boring episode, I'm afraid to say. But in a good way. I'm not being harsh.
In a good way. I mean, you have to have some kind of like particular interest like us if you're listening to us right now anyway. So
next week,
this is your thing.
Next week we're going to discuss, hopefully we're going to have a better idea of the 15th Five-Year Plan and we're going to do an episode on that, or we'll have changed the topic and waited for the 15th Five-Year Plan to come out.
Yeah, it's not like we can say when the 5-year plan is going to come out officially, you know.
No, but it should be soon. And when you watch the episode and you say, I don't understand what's going on, we're going to tell you to watch this whole thing all the way through, even if you fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which I hope you don't.
I think this is good to fall asleep to, apart from when I keep clapping and fucking up the audio levels.
Yeah, and we introduced the high-speed railway.
High-speed railway. Are we doing an episode on that?
No, we already did it. Well, not like that. I like to talk about it a lot in the 2 chapters ago, but I mean when we just yelled to include the data.
Should we do an episode on China travel tips? And then
it's really interesting because you also have the new
visa-free for UK tourists.
No, the new, how is it called? The Ni Hao app. Like it's an app that includes like essentially all the things that foreigners need to move around here.
I think we could get a lot of views by doing a China.
Like it has some kind of Alipay and WeChat Pay service implemented inside the own app.
Oh shit!
As well as translation and maps and everything. So you don't have to download like 3 different apps.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Come to China. Thank you for watching The Days of Being Wild, and thank you for listening. And we'll see
pleasure.
We'll see you in a week. Don't forget to check out the Blue Sky on Twitter because I'm retweeting random shit on there whenever I get a chance.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.